This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a guy who's leading the way in the specialty pet lifestyle area, specifically in the digestive health space. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, I'll tell you all about him and introduce you.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, an adventure seeker. He's a road tripper, a world traveler, a fitness fanatic, who was born in Seattle, Washington, lived abroad in the Middle East, and now resides in Southern California. He has a wife named Ilse. Did I pronounce that?
Yeah.
I did. I got it. Yeah. A daughter named Maria and a son named Evan. He's dog dad to Kelby, Toby, and Layla. He's cat dad to Nico. And he also has a bird named Maxie and a tortoise named Otis. He is the founder and CEO of Boss Nation Brands Incorporated, which is the home of Boss Dog and Boss Cat. His name is Basel Nassar, also known in the pet space as Vasili. Welcome. It's so good to have you on the show.
Hi, Isabel. Thanks for having me. We're really excited to be here.
I'm so excited to see your brand again. I met Shay and all of your team while I was at Super Zoo. We miss each other at your booth, but I enjoyed your booth very much. I have so many questions about how you came to found such an amazing brand with so many products, so many solutions for pet parents in such a short amount of time. But before I get into your story, I want to introduce our drinking game today. So anybody participating in our drinking game, anytime you hear this word,
the secret word is rampage.
Take a drink of whatever you're enjoying, but please be over 21 in the US to partake. Never drink and drive, and always drink responsibly. So what are you joining us with today?
Oh, I just have a little light beer here today, so I'm just trying to stay good. And
yeah,
it's a little early here, still 2 o'clock, but saying 5 o'clock somewhere, so why not?
Always. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, I'm actually having a drink named after your brand. This is a real cocktail that exists. I looked it up on Google. This is the Boss cocktail, and all it is some bourbon and some amaretto. So it's a stiff drink today. Okay. And I'm very much enjoying it. Cheers. Thank you for being on the show.
Cheers. Thank you for having me. Really excited about our talk today.
Me too. I can't wait to dig in to everything there is to know about your brand. There is a lot to know. So to get us started, I would like to introduce this show with a game. And this is called Boss Nation History. So you're going to get an A+ because you know all the answers. Yeah. It is a quick fire challenge. So you only challenge for you is going to be keeping it quick. Do you think you can make that happen?
No problem.
All right, here we go. The first question is, what was the first product you created under Boss Nation?
Boss Dog and Boss Cat Greek-style frozen yogurt treats. 3 billion probiotics per cup.
You aced that one. What role did you first hire someone to take over or do?
Tammy Samuelson, she's been with me for over 15 years. She used to run my back office when I ran a Greek yogurt company for humans, and she was my first call. We actually pulled her out of retirement.
Ooh, is she still working with you?
Oh yeah, she's my right hand.
So what is retirement anyway? She doesn't need to do that yet. All right. What is your favorite product that you've ever created?
I'm really proud of the dog and the cat meal systems. Creating something that's genuine and unique within what I call the kibble and bits world is hard to do. Coming up with a formula that met AFCO requirements and added value, as you've heard me say, was really important. And that presented somewhat of a challenge over and above treats and supplements. So I'm very proud of our meal system formulas.
That is awesome. That really is something to be proud of because it is very difficult to find value and quality in pet foods. So congratulations on that. Yes. All right. So what was the hardest product to bring to market? Was it the meal systems?
I think probably one of the more challenging to bring to market was the pet gear line. So we launched Boss Tactical, which is an ultra premium pet gear, collars, leashes, harnesses. That was an interesting challenge only because the supply chain was disrupted during the launch window. So for all of 2020 and 21, we were, working 10 times harder than we usually do to get an item to market because of those challenges.
For sure. I have heard that from a few product manufacturers. What are the dogs? You have 3 dogs, Kelby, Toby, and Layla. What are their favorites?
Well, we rotate protein at the house just like we rotate our meals at home. So we use a similar mentality. I don't want to eat chicken breast every night. So usually we'll do like a lamb freeze-dried meal system for all of them. We keep it assembly line. And then we'll rotate into our fish recipe, maybe our beef, maybe our chicken. And sometimes I'll even blend the proteins depending on the dog. But because of the transition, my dogs have been eating raw for so many years now, it's a non-issue. But for dogs that haven't, they're very easy to transition to raw food because of the digestive component.
Yeah.
So a lot of pets that go straight to raw, generally, everything's fine the first day. The second day, you're worried about things that are coming out of every which way. But you typically don't get those complaints. But yeah, all of our dogs are well adapted to raw and rotate protein.
Amazing. And how about your cat? Your cat, Nico, what is his favorite thing from your Boss Cat brand?
Nico is a very finicky cat, and I have to tell you, he's a fan of both the turkey and the chicken in the frozen format. So we have the Boss Cat frozen entree. It's a scoop and serve.
Nice.
And then usually we'll use that as our base, and then the freeze-dried cat formula as a topper. So we'll sprinkle a little bit of that on. They're getting over 400 to 500 million probiotics per serving with that one meal. So there's no need to add a multitude of supplements to try to make sure your pet's getting everything they need.
Yeah, and that can get expensive for sure. What made you focus on digestive health specifically?
That's a great question. 20 plus years ago, I founded a Greek yogurt company for humans. We scaled that business to a global size brand. I sold the business in 2010. And for 8 years after we sold the company, my team, that very much the team that I have with me today, had the pleasure of working with a great regulatory group. I mean, you have to imagine the group that acquired us was a $4 billion market cap group. So they had tools and things that we didn't have at our disposal. So over the course of that 8 years post-selling our Greek yogurt, we learned and mastered the infusion of probiotics. And we learned what types of probiotics to use, which strains, which quantity, when to introduce them during the manufacturing process to make and maximize survivability. I did it in yogurt, ice cream, soup bases, dressings, and I thought, why not for pets? And that's when in 2018, I turned to my top people and I said, let's launch a pet food company that focuses on digestive health. And it's one of the top items that consumers are looking for today, because the number one complaint that you typically have with a pet, typically a dog or a cat at times, is a stomach disruption or a stomach complaint. So I thought, this is what I know about. We've got 20 plus years of credibility, and we used Greek frozen yogurt treats as our entry point, but we've expanded well beyond that now.
Yeah, I have to ask, are you Greek?
I'm half Greek. Yeah, half Greek, half Middle Eastern. Yep.
All right.
Say.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I bet you were raised on Greek yogurt, right? That was like a staple in your house.
Yeah, we used to strain it in cheesecloth, actually.
Oh,
We'd incubate it in the oven because typically a Greek yogurt is a longer set. You want to incubate it, let it ferment, and then strain the whey out. We've found ways to do that effectively commercially. But you're right. I did nothing but eat Mediterranean food my whole life.
Ugh. The last time I was in Spain, I was just telling you I was in Spain last month. Everywhere we went, there was homemade yogurt on the menu with like a little bit of just jam or something that they had. Amazing. It is such a treat. It is so a dessert more so than a yogurt or a breakfast like we think of it in the US. So I love that you are passionate about yogurt like I am. I'm actually hoping to learn how to make my own.
Well, we can help you with that. Just let us know. We can walk you through it step by step.
Amazing. I love that. Okay, last question of the game. When did you start making tactical gear and why did you go ahead and go into that space?
Tactical pet gear launched a week before Thanksgiving 2020. And I'll tell you exactly why. One, it suited my lifestyle brand strategy.
Right.
I didn't want to just be meals and treats. I really wanted a solution for the whole house in every area. I have a 170-pound Rhodesian Ridgeback. I think he's the biggest male Ridgeback in the U.S. I've never found one bigger. None of the collars and leashes would fit him, and those that did would break if he decided to pull. I mean, he's an extremely strong dog. So I said, why not create something that the Mastiffs, the King Corsos, the German Shepherds, the giant Rhodesians, the Weimaraners, standard poodles. I mean, we created a line from medium to extra large size dogs. And we're talking, 750-pound tensile strength,
yes,
1,250-pound leash recoil. So just a lot of great functions. And that was the motivation.
Yeah, I saw them at Super Zoo. Shay gave me, I shared a video on my Instagram of your products and Shay giving me like a little tour of your booth, which was beautiful, by the way. And we are going to talk about your booth, Super Zoo, everything about Super Zoo, the next part of the show. But for now, I want to ask about, you have Boss Nation, and then you separated your products into Boss Dog and Boss Cat. And I think I know the answer as to why you did that. But for somebody listening who doesn't understand, why not just keep it under Boss Nation or Boss Pet? Why make it specific to the species?
Well, again, with the vision is we're not limited to just the two brand pillars. But to answer your question, for one, I think it's cool to be able to say I've got a Boss Dog and a Boss Cat. Any pet can, but more importantly, I wanted to formulate items that were specific to the species. And I know there's a lot of brands that either try to find utility in either creating hybrid solutions, of which we have a few. But when you're talking meal systems, you need to be very specific. There's certain things that both dogs and cats need. Like, for example, we use kelp in our dog formula, but psyllium husk for cats. A lot of people don't know why. Why is it helps prevent hairballs. So a slight adjustment in that formula where the proteins are very similar, the veggies and fruits are really similar, but you have to have distinctive differences. So I think that's really the motivation to segregating all the brand pillars so I can focus on each species individually for what they need.
Since 2019, how many products have you all developed and brought to market?
It's head spinning. I mean, I look at my old Greek yogurt company, and at its height, we had, I think, 15 SKUs, very high velocity SKUs. At the end of this year, I think we're at about 260 SKUs, 11 product segments, 2 brand pillars. And so it's definitely been a far more accelerated project. And I think it's largely due to and I won't go into detail on this, but the barriers of entry. It's very hard to make a splash in pet without being noticed. And I felt that if I was just to stay in one lane for 2 to 3 years, it just wouldn't get me where I needed to, because I have certain expectations I'd like to, bring the team to in terms of the level. And then this little thing called a global pandemic hit. And I don't care who you are. If you're a startup, it's pressing. If you're a legacy brand, you probably can get through it. So I'm just proud of us for getting through those 2 years.
Yeah, that was a rough start time, and you have not only made it through, but you're thriving. If your success at Super Zoo says anything, is that you are unstoppable. So I'm going to take a break right here, and actually we're going to dig into Super Zoo, your experience, all that you did and all that you brought to the experience for the rest of us. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back with Boss Nation brand, Boss Dog, Boss Cat, and this boss right here when we come back from our messages from our sponsors.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having an awesome conversation and a strong drink with Basel and Nassar, also known as Vasili, who is the founder and CEO of Boss Nation brand of pet lifestyle solutions, who oversees the two brand pillars known as Boss Dog and Boss Cat. And not to say that they might not have a Boss Bird and a Boss Turtle in the future, but we're going to focus today on Boss Nation's experience at Super Zoo, which is, as if you followed me for a while, you know, is my best week of the year. I get to see all my pet-loving peeps, my people, my circle, and I get to learn about all these amazing brands like I did with Basel and his team this year at Super Zoo. So, Basel, I want to play a second game with you today, and this one is called Did You Super Zoo 2023? So I'm just going to ask you some questions about what you did or did not do at Super Zoo. Are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right. Did you have any issues setting up your booth?
It was a brand new booth. No.
Fantastic, because it was a big setup.
We just had a tough time erecting the 22-foot Boss Dog Wolf, which probably won't be joining us to the next show. We'll have something even more fun to look at, but we like challenges. We don't want boring.
No, you did an amazing job. Your booth stood out. It was packed full of product, packed full of activity, people everywhere. I loved visiting. Did you wear the right shoes?
30 years as a serial entrepreneur, I would say I figured that out about 10 years ago. So I did wear the right.
There you go. Always wear the right shoes, guys. Did you meet your step goal for the day or did you exceed it?
I answer that question with some reservation because a lot of people ask the question at the show, how's the show going for you? And, I used to answer it, well, it's pretty good, but now I don't answer it anymore. I say, I have no idea. I'll let you know after the show. And I still feel that 2 to 3 months after a pet specialty show is incubation time for the deals that you did. So yeah, I would say I'm happy, but we always want to get more return out of those shows because they're not cheap.
Did you spy on competitors?
I don't spy on competitors. I think we both glean off of each other. I'm not somebody that goes out and does Me Too innovation. I've been subject to it, though, in the past where people come up and grab ideas from us.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of half of Super Zoo, I feel like. I go as press, which is nice because everybody wants to talk to me. Yeah. But I do feel like there's some people spying, trying to get ideas. Obviously, there's some retailers. It's probably, stressful for people entering the market. So I get to go and just enjoy myself, which is the best part for me. All right. Did you meet anybody that you wanted to connect with that was kind of like on your radar?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's some key buyers there that I have done a lot of email exchange with. And, I'm finding we're in an interesting time where communicating with people either by phone or email is becoming very challenging. So whenever you get an audience with somebody for just a few minutes, it seems to make a difference. So I was happy to run into some of those digital people.
Yeah, that's so true. It's really hard. And then you kind of connect on an obviously more human level in person. Did you recognize any pet influencers, like any famous pets while you were there?
Yeah, actually I did. There was, we had one at the booth, Madani, the Malinois. Me and Tyson and Robin, the handler, all took a bite. So we had our sleeve on, and each of us took a bite from Madani, and a couple of affiliate Doberman Shepherds or Doberman Pinschers were there, and a couple German Shepherds. So we met a lot of people that we're familiar with online. Yeah, it was great meeting them in person.
That's one of my favorite things.
And just seeing those dogs, how well they're trained, and you know, the love and the respect that the handler and the dog have for one another, and the control, you know, it's essentially a weapon. So we were very respectful of that and very honored to take those bites.
Yes, that is so cool. Did you feel anything through the sleeve?
I won't lie, I had one actually get through and penetrate a little, but you know, it's well worth it. So
I was gonna say, worth it.
No complaints.
That's amazing. When I was looking at all these dogs, there were very few that I was like, that dog's not comfortable here. These dogs are so well trained and so comfortable with so many people around, other dogs around. It really is pretty impressive. It gives you a whole other perspective on the dog that you're raising at home. You're like, that dog can't even go to the corner without freaking out about wind. And then this dog is over here performing pirouettes for like an audience of 200.
Yeah. I'll tell you, in under 10 seconds, my Ridgeback, if I take him out in the street, he's a very alpha male dog. He'll nudge to try to show that he's got an authority with any other dog out there, except law enforcement and military working dogs. I could take him to a show and they'll walk right by each other and no conflict at all. There's a mutual respect. They know they've been trained. They know they have capability, and it's just like humans, I would think, So
bunch of bosses walking past each other.
It's so impressive to see.
That is awesome. I love to see a boss dog for sure. And boss cats. There were a lot of boss cats there, which I met Mavi. I met, so many cats.
Kitty
I'm forgetting them. Kitty Boy was there. There's so many super cool cats that are like giving high fives, just sitting in their like stroller, chilling out. Which, I have a young cat that I could potentially train to do that, but I'm too lazy. So hats off to those people who train their pets that well. I just love my pets to live with me and share my life with me, but I don't need them to do all that. What product, this is my last question of the game, what product that you do not carry, that has nothing to do with you, caught your attention the most while you were browsing the halls?
I like what I'm seeing in the functional meal system innovation. They're getting better at, brands are getting better at creating foods specific to either the breed or the size of the animal. And I think, it's because you're seeing what I call the premiumization of the pet specialty channel. You have 50 plus years of kibble and bits, or even more than that. And now, I can tell you there's probably 24 brands competing for raw, fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried space. So that's, I think, the most impressive thing. Competition generally promotes real innovation. And then you go through a Me Too phase again, where everybody wants to copy the success. And then hopefully within, the next decade, somebody comes out with something that really kind of disrupts, because I think in this industry, you definitely need to be disruptive to be noticed.
Absolutely. And pet parents are counting on you to be disruptive, because what we are paying our good money for is not quality. So we're looking for brands like yours that are going to bring value, like you said, to the industry so that we have more choices. Right now, the people we're feeding kibble feel like they are just like, between a rock and a hard place, between budget and quality and not really knowing what's in things, because marketing, it's a tough place to be. So thank you for innovating and for bringing better stuff to us, the pet parent, the consumer. So what was your overall impression of Super Zoo? You've been there 5 years now. Is it better? Was it better this year? Do you feel like it's growing? Tell me about your impression.
Well, I won't compare it to the 2 years that it was off.
Right.
But I will say Global was the last show that I did before 2020. And that show was a bit depressing. You had less than half the attendance there. The international delegates weren't there. And this was prior to it becoming a U.S. pandemic. So I'm extremely encouraged at what I saw at Super Zoo 23. That you saw international buying. People were asking questions. There was a lot of supply chain inquiry where I probably had a dozen people that want to make my pet gear line for me, whereas a year ago,
right.
At Global, that was pretty non-existent. So very happy. I was a big thumbs up on this year. But I'm also a big believer in you got to work those shows. You can't just go and set up your booth. And every year we try to get more creative on how to, give the retailer a reason to visit us. And so, yeah, that's my overview on Super Zoo.
Well, y'all did a really good job. So the first thing I'm going to say is, I don't know if you saw this. I may have forgotten. But I know you had mixed martial arts icon Rampage Jackson there. And you know how I know this? Because I took a picture with him.
All right. There you go.
I did. I saw. That's how I met Shay. That's how I found out about your brand and your booth, is because they were walking around. And I, as a journalist, as I am, I had read that you were bringing this mixed martial arts icon to the show. I have a 6-year-old son. So when I saw him, I said, I need a picture with him. They were all so gracious. So tell me, why Rampage Jackson? What about him made him a right choice for your brand?
We're always looking for quality affiliates. We're in the business of building a brand, right? This is a business.
Right.
So it's not vanity in bringing these people in. It's trying to find an association that connects to both retail and the consumer base. I wasn't actively looking for celebrity affiliates. Rampage was introduced to me by a friend of a friend. And, I wanted to just have a phone call. He was very determined just to sit down and have dinner. And I'm glad I did, because he's one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, bootstrapped himself all the way up to the top of the UFC division. Very imposing guy. I'm 6'1", 220, and I look small next to him. And he's just a great human being, and so I started talking to him about what I'm doing with tactical pet gear, and that's really the association between Rampage and what we're doing. And I just thought, this guy who's a street soldier, tough guy, and he's the boss in the ring. I said, what a perfect
exactly.
So we don't want the brand to be considered too masculine. It's just clear, it's strong, it's durable. And if Rampage can't break it, nobody can.
Exactly. No, it's so true. But you know what? You guys did a great job of balancing it, because you have like a light purple tactical collar and leash. So you're doing a great job of appealing to all of the masses. And it was so funny because in this picture, I actually did a feature on Super Zoo. I don't know if I sent you this or told Shay about this, but I did a feature about Super Zoo in Low Country Dog magazine. I just guest wrote for them, and I couldn't help myself but adding this picture, because Rampage is, I am all smiles, I'm giddy. And then there's Rampage just like looking like he's ready to go step in the rink again. So I thought that was so funny. And my editor obviously did as well, because he put it in the feature. But also, one of the things that was just a happy accident for me, because I am a boozy pet lover, is that I went to see your booth right in the middle of happy hour. So who came up with that idea?
That was Shay, our VP of marketing. I told her I'm just very big on having a reason for people to come visit you besides getting a discount on your product. So we attempted that for a while. I think there's some certain permits you have to ask for. But anyway, I think it served its purpose. People seemed to really love it. I know I had a good time.
Yes.
And, I was going to tell you just very quickly, and you'll appreciate this story with Rampage. We did a photo shoot here, a video shoot at what I call Boss Ranch. That's where we have the tortoise and everything. We're actually bringing in mini donkeys and everything. I can't wait to show you.
So fun.
we're doing the video shoot, and Rampage, what the videographer says, "Hey, I got one more shot I want." And I had Rampage was holding one end of the leash, the side that you clip on the dog, and I had the handle side. And I said, "Oh, we don't have much time, but let's go." And I went to pull him, and I was completely cognizant. Here I am trying to pull this 6'2" behemoth of a man on a leash, and I just dropped the leash. I go, "Rampage, it's all you, man." But that was the closest we ever came to an altercation.
But now you know that your tactical gear really works, because if you had really tried it, at least maybe you wouldn't have survived it, but your leash would have.
My leash would have, right?
All right. So any tips for people attending Super Zoo 2024 as attendees or as exhibitors? What is your top tip for either party?
I think the attendees is there are certain retailers that are very good about visiting the core brands and giving each of the brands time to showcase. So from an exhibitor standpoint, that's what I would want from the attendees. From an exhibitor standpoint, I would say, if the budget permits it, don't be boring. Shay and I walked the show about a year ago, and we were trying to figure out what our new booth's going to be. And I looked around and I said, there's just nothing here other than the $400 million company booths. And so we thought that the tactical trailer was really kind of a nice way to bring something exciting and fun to look at. Because if you think about it, these retailers are shutting down for 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
Or stepping away from their business to come here. So that would be my advice, I think.
Yes. Wow us. And it's true, because you see the smaller booth, which is your typical booth at anywhere. And then you see these huge brands that are, in every store you can think of. And they have their kind of, living room set up where people chit chat and talk business. And then you have the ones that are unique and creative, like the happy hour, like the appearance from the dog or the cat or the famous, celebrity or whatever. And those things draw you in. Obviously, if the budget's not there, creativity sometimes is the cheapest asset you can have on your team. It comes from somebody on your team that is given the opportunity to work their magic. I completely agree with you. The creativity goes a long way in these things.
Wait till you see what we're doing at Global 24.
Oh my God. Global's in Orlando, right?
Yeah, we got some brand new and exciting happening there.
I got to find out the dates, because I really would love to go. The only trade show I've been to is Super Zoo. But obviously, as a journalist and writer specializing in the pet industry, I should go to more.
You need.
I need to? Is that right? You think I need to?
I think you need to go to Global, which is March 20th through the 22nd of 2024.
Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we'll see what I can make happen. But tell me, what is next for Boss Dog and Boss Cat?
Well, I can give you kind of a little bit of an inside scoop. I'm not sure if it's going to happen at the beginning of the year or the middle of the year, but you will see the introduction of Boss Bird this next year. We have recently brought home a golden conure. For those that are in the conure, they're very rare. It wasn't our intention, and it just needed a home. And we love this little thing. I mean, she sits up at night and just nibbles on my ear for like an hour. And we just give our animals a lot of love. So anytime I do something, I like to do it right. And generally, we have the animals at home when we innovate, so that we can see what they like. They don't like. But I would say look for really strong extensions on the Boss Dog pillar first. More treats, more supplements, new unique proteins for the meals.
Oh,
and a lot of it really to complement the new organic raw goat milk line that we just extended with the spinach, the cranberry, the pumpkin, and the carrot. So we're bringing out concepts to complement our savory solutions supplements.
All right. Very quickly, what can you tell us about why people should be giving goat's milk to their pets?
Oh my God, there's a billion reasons. I'll give you the top 5. One, it's an appetite stimulant. So you could have the most boring food in the bowl, and raw goat milk will make it super exciting. Ours has 1 billion probiotics per 2 ounces. So one drizzle, they're getting their probiotics for more than they need for the day. 3, it's a moisture retention. So it allows them to retain far more moisture, thereby limiting the amount of, I'll be just candid, feces and yard waste. And so they start absorbing more of the nutrition. And then we added organic cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger for antibacteria, anti-inflammation. So in addition to all the other benefits in the goat milk, we also added DHA and taurine. It was at the time we launched the goat milk right around the horizon where DCM was a crisis and everybody was concerned about taurine deficiency. Most of our products, the raw goat milk, the Greek frozen yogurt treat, the Pro Bites tripe treats, and the Pro Balls meatballs are good for either dog or cat. So you can give them this supplement or treat for either of them. The meal systems are very specific to the species.
That's fantastic. As somebody who has both a cat and a dog at home, I love being able to buy obviously different foods because they're different species, but something that they both enjoy and that I can give them both equally because I don't want anybody getting jealous. And I also don't want to store a million things. So I love that idea. So tell us, how can my audience learn more about Boss Nation, Boss Dog, and Boss Cat?
Well, you can follow us on all the standard social media platforms. Instagram, I think, is our biggest one. Facebook, at Boss Dog Brand or at bosscatbrand.com. Then, of course, you can visit us at bossnationbrands.com, and either Boss Dog Brand and bosscatbrand.com will get you there as well. So we've got a very user-friendly website, tons of recipes. Store locator, just pop in your zip code and it'll give you all the stores in your neighborhood. If they don't have the product you want, there's a request in there to hand the store owner and ask them to bring it in.
Nice.
And then I know that my team, we call the Boss at Your Service team, will respond in usually under 15 hours if we get an email at our info contact email. So I'm very, very big on communication. Let's move quickly. People have questions. We want to give them answers.
Amazing. Well, I just want to propose a toast to you and your team for wowing me at Super Zoo and for joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. I had a great time.
I'm so happy to hear it. I also want to propose a toast to my executive producer, Mark Winter. Thank you, Mark. And to our audience for joining us for these awesome conversations. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers.
To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and to rate us on all your podcasting platforms. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.